everyone, welcome to my Croatian kitchen. My name is Andrea and I'm the author of the Croatian Desserts Cookbook. Today I want to tell you a little bit about how we can substitute the most famous Croatian cheese, and that is cottage cheese. So this is the Croatian cottage cheese. As you can see, it's a little bit grainy, but I need to explain the taste to you. So it's slightly acidic and tangy, and this is because Croatian cottage cheese, the original type, the one that our grandmas used to make, is a product of real lactic fermentation. So the way to make cottage cheese in the old days would be to allow raw milk to ferment at room temperature, and it would turn into buttermilk. And then you would get sour cream floating on the top, and then the rest of the buttermilk would be strained through cheesecloth and basically let for several, like 48 hours to drain, and this is how we would get cottage cheese. This means that that cottage cheese would still be fermenting. If you left it at room temperature, it would go more and more acidic day in, day out. The most important thing about the Croatian cottage cheese that you need to know is that A, it has 20% fat content, and B, it is slightly acidic. And these are the two things that will be your guide in how to substitute Croatian cottage cheese. So our first example is the Italian ricotta cheese. Ricotta is definitely fatter than the Croatian cottage cheese. It has 40% fat content, and it's much milder, but it's a nice substitute, especially if you are baking a sweet dish. Next one is the typical cream cheese. Cream cheese is much fattier. It has 60% fat content, and it shouldn't be used on its own as a substitute for the Croatian cottage cheese. You basically have to mix it with something else. Cream cheese is very neutral in taste. It has no acidity, it's very velvety, and it has no crumbles like the Croatian cottage cheese. The last one is the feta cheese. Here I have the creamy, not the crumbly feta cheese, and this one has 45% fat content. So you can see that it's still fattier than the Croatian cottage cheese, but it is very similar to the cottage cheese because it has that acidity. So it's basically made in a similar way through natural fermentation. Feta cheese, though, is saltier than the Croatian cottage cheese. So now that you know all these different flavors and textures of these 4 different types of cheeses, what do you do with them? How do you substitute for the Croatian cottage cheese that you might not be able to find in the place where you live? So if you are baking something sweet, a dessert, especially from my cookbook, like this one, for example, the Croatian sweet cheese pie, pita od sira, and you can't find Croatian cottage cheese, then you would combine ricotta and some cream cheese. Make sure you use more ricotta than cream cheese, because that way you would stay true to the fat content of the Croatian cottage cheese. If you're baking something savory, like this darling, pita od sira, as they say in Bosnia, or sirnica, or we say burek od sira in Croatia, then you need a different combination. You would use the combination of the feta cheese and the ricotta cheese. That way you would get the tang of the feta cheese and the saltiness, and the creaminess and velvety smoothness of the ricotta. I hope that you will continue baking Croatian sweet and savory dishes, even though you can't find cottage cheese the way we have it here in Croatia. Make sure you make plenty of sweet cheese pie, pita od sira. Then you can practice making burek od sira or sirnica. And let's not forget that one of the most famous dishes made with cottage cheese is štrukli. That's it, guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye from my Croatian kitchen. Bye!